Yeah.
And you share your journey with us. How did you start Sapphire Scents? What motivated you to start the brand Sapphire Scents?
Interestingly, in the beginning, it was just a hustle. Just something to make extra income.
Okay.
But, there are so many foreign perfumes, but there are very few Nigerian African brands, and I decided to start doing something about it. So we started by studying other people's perfumes from Dubai.
Do you make those perfumes here, in Nigeria?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I mix all of the fragrances myself. There's a recipe for each of the fragrances. Just like Coca-Cola has a secret formula that makes a perfume. It's the same thing with us.
That's it.
Yes. So each perfume has a secret formula for it. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, one of the biggest challenges you're going to face in building a business in Nigeria is going to be funding. Because a time will come when you are going to need capital, whether you like it or not. Now, and you see, the mistake many people fall into is the kind of capital you get determines how far your business will go. And that's the mistake many people made, and that's one of the mistakes we made as well. Entrepreneurs, we are very optimistic. We just believe things will work the way we plan. And then you go ahead, to get funds, and you want to do this and do that. At the end of the day, you realize that, hey, it's not working as planned. But guess what? Money is not emotional. The people that you borrowed money from, they're going to come on your neck. So we have had to deal with that. It was crazy, but
common for you to be in the midst of the high and mighty in Nigeria. I'm almost tempted to say nobody that is somebody.
It wasn't even strategy from the beginning. It was just people reaching out to us. I'll never forget the late Ubon King reaching out to me and calling me one morning. And he said, Wale, would you like to go to Ghana to meet former President Jerry Rawlings? I'm like, Bros, I beg, is that how they meet Jerry Rawlings? It's just like that. He said, Wale, I'm serious. That's how we started. Everybody we met, it was somebody that said, you know what, I want you to go and present this to this other person. That if anybody wanted to gift an important gift to anybody, they would just reach out to us and say, please create a custom perfume for this person. And that's how it happened. You just need to understand human nature and people generally. When you say something they like, they'll call you the wisest man in the world. They'll call you, too much wisdom, more grace, this and that. When you write the one they don't last, they say, hey, Mumu don't talk. See his head, dude. Apostle Selman had just come to Abuja, maybe like a year or two earlier. And once in a while, I would go to the evening sessions and just attend. And then this particular evening, he was praying, it was praise and worship, it was impartation service. And next thing he said, there's a businessman here going through lots of challenges. Who is Wale here? And 2022 was a terrible year. Oh my God. It was a terrible year. It was like the heavens was going to fall that year. Look back at the person I was before the challenges. I look back now. I'm a way better person. I understand life better, I understand people better. I'm much more compassionate.
All right, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching us from. This is another episode of the Debo Taiwo Talk Show, and I'm on here today with someone that I have a lot of respect for. We are sitting down today with a man who is not just changing the fragrance game in Nigeria, but rebranding, redefining what it means to smell good with a traditional, built fragrance from Nigeria. I'm sitting with no other person than the CEO of Sapphire Scents, a brand that has become a household name and a symbol of elegance, excellence, and empowerment in Nigeria. Mr. Wale Jana, you're welcome to the Debo Taiwo.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah, thank you so much for making our time for this interview. I'm really, really excited about this interview. How are you today,
pleasure. Good, very well, thank you.
Alrighty, so we'll just kick to it. Obviously, you've made a name for yourself. You've made a name for the brand, Sapphire Scents. Recently, I realized that you started 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Can you share your journey with us? How did you start Sapphire Scents? What motivated you to start the brand Sapphire Scents?
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity once again. Sapphire started August 24, 2015. So we're actually going to be 10 this year.
Interesting.
And it started out of a need to, interestingly, in the beginning, it was just a hustle. Just something to make extra income.
Okay.
But then along the way, I began to understand that, hey, this space that I'm in right now, there are not many people. There are so many foreign perfumes, but there are very few Nigerian African brands, and I decided to start doing something about it. So we started by studying other people's perfumes from Dubai, and then we noticed that we couldn't sustain that because people were copying what we were doing. And from there, we branched into our own fragrances.
Okay.
And then from there, the scent machines came.
Okay.
That's part of Sapphire Scents as well. Then we started in the custom fragrances.
Okay.
And then from there, it just became, then we started getting distributors. And, and interestingly in the beginning, because I just used to feel like, the few people that bought them, maybe they just wanted to encourage me. But as time went on, I began to realize that, hey, people actually like these perfumes. People actually love these perfumes. They are paying good money for this. I better start taking this seriously. And that's how it's been. And then 2-3 years ago, we started taking scenting seriously. And that's what you see with all of the events and the churches and all of those places where we install the scent machines. So in a nutshell, not to take too much of your time, that's our story in the last 10 years.
That's an incredible story. I mean, for the brand that has been around for 10 years, but again, it's touched a lot of people in a huge way. Because, okay, so I got acquainted to Sapphire Scents first in 2018 when I was dating my wife then, who was my fiancée. She was the first person that told me about Sapphire Scents. And then we tried one. I sent it over to her to the UK, and then she then bought me another one. And I'm like, whoa, this is really, really nice. And since then, we've kind of stuck with the brand. Do you make those perfumes here, in Nigeria?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I mix all of the fragrances myself. There's a recipe for each of the fragrances. Just like Coca-Cola has a secret formula that makes a perfume. It's the same thing with us.
That's it.
Yes. So each perfume has a secret formula for it. Yes.
Okay.
Although we still have to design our bottles in China and ship them to Nigeria, before we bottle, but I mix all those fragrances personally.
And you guys have some very unique bottles, like the gold ones with the blue cap. You guys always make it a luxury version. Your fragrances can definitely compare with the Salvatore Ferragamos, the Gucci's, and the rest of them.
Absolutely.
For sure. All right. So having a business in Nigeria, we all know sometimes can be a little bit challenging or chaotic sometimes. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced while building the brand, and how did you overcome them?
Oh, one of the biggest challenges you're going to face in building a business in Nigeria is going to be funding. Because a time will come when you are going to need capital, whether you like it or not. Now, and you see, the mistake many people fall into is the kind of capital you get determines how far your business will go. And that's the mistake many people made, and that's one of the mistakes we made as well. The kind of money that's available in Nigeria for business is mostly short-term funding. Short-term, very short-term. 6 months at most. If you see someone that gives you money for 2 years, that's a big deal in this part of the world.
I see.
Now, what happens most times is because entrepreneurs, we are very optimistic. We just believe things will work the way we plan. And then you go ahead, to get funds, and you want to do this and do that. At the end of the day, you realize that, hey, it's not working as planned. But guess what? Money is not emotional. The people that you borrowed money from, they're gonna come on your neck. So we have had to deal with that. It was crazy, but thank God, because we believe in what we're doing, and people can see for sure that these people, I can see that they are making progress regardless. So we're grateful that they were able to give us time to pay up, and gradually like that, that's how we've been making progress. But the major challenge in the Nigerian market is the kind of funding, short-term funding. But because every business, the least that every business should be able to get, the kind of funding that every business in this part of the world should be able to get, that is going to be a very efficient, should be less than 5 to 10 years. Between 5 to 10 years. But unfortunately, you can't. Yes, unfortunately, it's very hard to access. Now, another challenge is if you decide to go and access money from abroad, you go and collect dollars. You go and collect business capital in dollars or pounds. With what the dollar is saying, it's crazy. Whatever you collected would have doubled or tripled by now. So that's the situation.
That's interesting. We'll touch base on how you were able to manage. I mean, of course, we know for sure that the environment needs to improve. There's a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs to be able to gain or access funding to make so the economy thrive. Because if entrepreneurs are not well funded and are not given adequate time to be able to repay their loans, it does definitely impact on the economy to a large extent. So definitely there's a lot of improvement there. But one question I've been itching to ask you is the strategy. One of the strategies that you used in growing your the Sapphire Scents. It's very common for you to be in the midst of the high and mighty in Nigeria. I'm almost tempted to say nobody that is somebody in Nigeria that has not had not been given a bespoke Sapphire Scent perfume. How do you get those contacts, and how has your strategy worked so far?
Okay, so interestingly, it wasn't even strategy from the beginning. It was just people reaching out to us. I'll never forget the late Ubon King reaching out to me and calling me one morning. And he said, Wale, would you like to go to Ghana to meet former President Jerry Rawlings? I'm like, bros, I beg, is that how they meet Jerry Rawlings? He just like that. He said, Wale, I'm serious.
He thought it was April Fool.
Like, I want you to, I'm going to pay for a perfume and then you're going to take it with me to Ghana and present to him. And that's how we started. Everybody we met, it was somebody that said, you know what, I want you to go and present this to this other person. And then it just became like a ripple effect. So it now became that if anybody wanted to gift an important gift to anybody, they would just reach out to us and say, please create a custom perfume for this person. And that's how it happened.
I mean, that you do it in such a very flamboyant and charismatic way. You would have, there was one you gave former President Olusegun Obasanjo. You had your shirt on. It was like a purple regalia. I'm like, this is like really, 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 really nice. So okay, I mean that's some great stuff that it just started from the little Bon King. Great stuff. Now, so we'll just proceed a little bit. The fragrance industry is competitive, right? In Nigeria, I'm not so sure there are too many indigenous brands that have kind of value or the kind of luxury that you do. But I know I've used Sapphire Scents before. But how do you compete though with the international brands like your, the Gucci's, the Salvatore Ferragamos, and the rest of them?
Now, what has happened to us in the scent industry right now is because many of these brands are foreign. And dollar is high right now. So in the past, duty free, you walk up to duty free when dollar was maybe 150, 300, even 500, and you see a $60 bottle of perfume or $100 bottle of perfume. You do the math, that's just 50K, But now a $100 bottle of perfume is at least 150,000. So many people cannot afford those perfumes any longer. The result of that is that people like us are suddenly in very high demand. Because they're looking for the best perfumes that are affordable. And then, people that used to say, I can't use made in Nigeria, they suddenly try Sapphire Scents and they're like, wow, what have I been doing before? I mean, why did it take me so long? The packaging, the packaging is almost as better than theirs. The quality of the scenting, everything. So there's no, it became clear that, I'd rather use Sapphire Scents and use many of these foreign perfumes.
That's interesting. Okay, great stuff. Right. Great stuff there. You're quite known for your visibility on social media. You share business. Right. Sometimes you share life principles. Sometimes you call them nuggets. You just share relationship man, Sunday man. This woman and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
How have you managed to be consistent, first of all, with those nuggets that you would release, I think sometimes every week? And for the ones that have been a little controversial, how have you been able to manage the controversies that
you just need to understand human nature and people generally. When you say something they like, they'll call you the wisest man in the world. They'll call you, too much wisdom, more grace, this and that. When you write the one they don't last, they say, hey, Mumu don't talk. See his head, dude. So you just get used to it. You just know that next week they'll change their mind.
Interesting. Okay.
So we can be friends for 2 weeks, and then they'll hate you for 2 weeks. Or they can hate you for 1 month straight, and then the love comes back. It's just so you just get used to it. But I don't write to pander to people's emotions. I just write what needs to be said. Couple of times it gets into trouble, but hey, that's it.
It is what it is.
We just have to say what we have to say.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you are just sort of like, well, after a while they'll forget about it and then they'll move on, and then we'll become friends again on another post. Okay?
Exactly.
That's such a great way to put it, and that's a nice way as well. So entrepreneurship can be stressful. So this was the part where you already touched on briefly, but entrepreneurship can be stressful. How do you deal with setbacks and failures? So this is related to what you were itching on prior, but that period, specifically, I think maybe 2019 or 2020, you had a couple of call outs from different investors stating that But one thing I like about you, your brand is, I don't know the background story today, but you are still standing. You are still branding. You still sustained the business. A lot of other businesses that people also put money into, we're looking for the investors everywhere now. On Twitter, we're looking for them. They like Interpol has declared them wanted, some of them. Like they are away, you can't see them. But you are still standing. How were you able to see those setbacks, manage them and move forward specifically? How were you able to manage setbacks and failures at the time?
First of all, I'll attribute it to the message of God, number one. And then number two is, you see, many people, because of how things have been painted, they've made it look bigger. You know how you see a challenge and you just say, this is a challenge, I'm running away. That's what happened to most people. We decided to confront it. We decided to confront it and say, okay, whatever this is, we are going to deal with it, and we're going to be very transparent about it, and we're going to talk about it. And, God helped us in such a way that people began to see us for who we truly were. We're not trying to run away. We're not trying to be shady. It was just business at that time. It was a crazy time for everybody. 2020 was when the pandemic happened. And many businesses are dead till date that they can't rise up again. We decided to say that, we're just going to get back on our feet regardless of what happens. And so that determination, because we understand that winning is actually lucrative for us. Because if we can tell this story after, it's going to be worth a lot. That's one of the things that push me forward, because I know that, this story that I've been privileged to be a part of, going through a challenge and surviving it, is worth, a lot of dollars, millions of dollars in the future. I've come to realize that, I mean, we wrote a little book in the past. There are more books that are going to come, so being able to share this experience in the future is very valuable, so it's one of the things that's kept us going. But above all, I'll just say that being transparent, being very open, getting to talk to people, not running away from anybody that said, "Oh, we're inviting you, come and tell us what happened." We never backed down. We just kept on doing what we know how to do best. And God just showed us mercy, basically. That's it.
Great stuff. I mean, I'm glad that, like I said, a lot of other investors a lot of other business owners who had investors invest in their businesses. Some of them are, they've gone out. Like, we actually don't know where they are, and they are owing like billions of naira. And so you still standing definitely shows that you're definitely in a better place than you were in 2020. And we thank God for that. So we'll proceed with you're quite vocal about your faith and personal growth. How has your faith influenced your decisions?
Sorry, come again.
So I said, you are very vocal. You're quite vocal about your faith and personal growth. How has your faith influenced your business decisions?
Oh, you see, my faith has been everything. It's been everything that's kept me going, because the Bible is such an amazing book, because there's so many things in the Bible that just pumps me up. You're just going there, you begin to see things like the lion turns back from no one. Those kind of words. I mean, the Bible talks about how, above all, taking the shield of faith with which you are able to quench all the fiery darts. So many words in the Bible that just pumps me up, that just inspires me. It just tells you, things that if you fall 6 times, you can get back again. The Bible is such an amazing book. There's so much that just pumps you up in the Bible. And thank God for men of God. Thank God for prophecies that have come forth. I'll share this story here.
Okay.
Amazing story.
Okay.
So at this time, I was, Apostle Selman had just come to Abuja, maybe like a year or two earlier.
Okay.
And once in a while, I would go to the evening sessions and just attend. And then this particular evening, he was praying, it was praise and worship, it was impartation service. And next thing he said, there's a businessman here going through lots of challenges. Who is Wale here?
What?
I'm telling you. I was like, everybody just said, that's him.
Interesting.
Like, in front of everybody, and he just began to prophesy. I mean, that was so encouraging.
And what year was this?
This was 2022. And 2022 was a terrible year. Oh my God. It was a terrible year. It was like the heavens was going to fall that year. Everything that could go wrong went wrong in 2022. But God was just faithful. So many times, I mean, God has just shown me time and again that, you know what, I got you. You get. The Bible says when you go through the waters, it did not say if, he said when.
So certainly it's going to happen. But
yes, he said that. But I'll be with you. That's what the Bible says. He didn't say you won't go through. He said, but I'll be with you. So that's the difference. Knowing that at the end of everything, the Bible says, I've taken you through water and fire, but I've brought you out into a wealthy place. So you go through things not because it's going to kill you, but I mean, there's no way that gold will be refined. Gold is refined in fire. So by the end of the day, you come out shining brighter. If I look back at the person I was before the challenges, I look back now, I'm a way better person. I understand life better, I understand people better. I'm much more compassionate. I'm not judgmental any longer, So it's been a whole world of lessons.
That's interesting.
Mm.
Interesting piece, interesting exclusive there from the CEO of Sapphire Scents, Mr. Wale Jana. Thank you so much for sharing that on the Debo Taiwo podcast. So we're about to wrap up now. Thank you so much for your patience as we try to wrap up. Now, what advice do you have for young entrepreneurs who would be looking forward to, starting up something within the scents, the fragrance industry in Nigeria?
Right. Now, you see, the scenting market in Nigeria is still a virgin ground. It's still a serious virgin ground. If you have what it takes, I advise you, to come along on this journey. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be crazy. But hey, that's why you have someone like me, so I can mentor.
You can mentor you.
You see, when I started mine, there was nobody. There was nobody to look up to. There was nobody that was doing anything that kind of thing on my level. There was nobody I could look up to in the whole of Nigeria and Africa to say, hey, what do I need to do? What do I do right? What do I do wrong? But hey, if you want to get onto it, reach out to me for mentorship. I'll be honored to do so.
Sounds good. So if you're looking forward to starting, you have the CEO here. He's been tested and trusted. He's been there for 10 years. And trust me, his brand is really nice. It's a luxury feel. He's there to support you. All right. This interview might not be complete if I don't ask one question. It has to do with your relationship with the revered man of God, Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo. What's your relationship with Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo? And how has it been a blessing to you, if I could put it that way?
Pastor Biodun is my father, my father and a mentor, my spiritual father and a mentor. Amazing man of God, and is an inspiration on a level that is just unprecedented. He was the one that actually looked at me and said, because then I was selling other people's perfumes. He was the one that looked at me for the first time and said, you know what, you need to take this business seriously. He supported us with the first 1 million naira, to start the business at the time, told us to go to Dubai, and he prayed, So he's been exceptional. The scenting idea, the idea for scenting churches and all those machines that actually came from Koza.
Interesting.
So I mean, it's been one place where I've drawn so much inspiration from Koza and from the man of God himself. It's been exceptional.
That's interesting. Great words there again from the CEO himself. And finally, 2025, we're in the second quarter of 2025. What should we expect from Sapphire Scents?
Right.
With regards to products, with regards to reach, what should we expect from Sapphire Scents?
In 2025, we are branching out, in so many ways. You guys will be seeing us everywhere, because we've taken our time to heal. We've taken our time to strategize, and it's time to roll out. So you definitely be seeing us around a lot.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to seeing the big stuff coming from Sapphire Scents. I'm definitely ordering from you very soon. Coming over where we are. I would love that. Thank you so much for being a guest on this platform. It's a baby, our baby podcast, the Debo Taiwo podcast. Thank you so much. All righty.
Pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Any final words, any parting words from you, sir?
I'll just say, so people don't give up. There's so much at the other side that you can't see yet. Where you are is not all there is. There's so much more.
Great, deep. Thank you so much. And that's it from us today from the Debo Taiwo talk show. Thank you so much. And that was it from the Debo Taiwo podcast, this edition featuring the CEO of Sapphire Scents, Mr. Wale Jana. He shared his how he started, the troubles he went through, and how he's getting back up. You want to see that one. All right. Candid Conversations with Debo will be available on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you find your podcasts. Do not miss it. On to the next one. Stay tuned, and bye for now.